Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Racing for Children's IndyCar Series. Fun, competitive racing for charity. The Racing for Children's IndyCar Series is not just an iRacing league, also racing to help awareness and funding to cure childhood cancer and blood disorders. As always, I'm your host, James East, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting and bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we get ready to start the racingforchildrens.org GP here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Qualifying wrapping up as we get ready to start things off. Checking in on Norman King. Looks like he's going to come down pit road, ending his qualifying session. Number 28 machine, Paul Gibson, currently on pole with a 108.14. Track temps look good, and looking forward to another great day of racing. Thank you to our fans, friends, family, and sponsors hopping in, supporting the broadcast, supporting such a great cause for charity. And I am looking forward to another fantastic night up here in the booth. Like a pretty healthy grid making their way out. 16 drivers have put down times. Every driver has put down a time to make it into the main event, passing the cutoff limit that is set. I believe it's 110% here to qualify for the big show. Now, if you remember just a couple of short weeks ago, we had back-to-back races at Indy. August 30th, we were at Indy Road, and then September 3rd, we ran the prestigious Indianapolis 500 presented by Nemesis Lab, where Cop Car was able to bring home the win as well as the pole position. A massive points night for Mr. Nick Hill Cop Car. Paul Gibson, still your points leader. He's had 7 starts, 2 wins so far. Paul Weatherholt also has 2 wins so far this season. Jared Ziegler third in points, Cop Car fourth, and Nick Terrell rounds out the top 5. Kind of an interesting tidbit here. Paul Gibson, your points leader, has about 7/10 less miles driven than second place Weatherholt. Not quite sure how that one panned out. The qualifying's coming to an end, and we will get ready to get things fired up here at Mid-Ohio. Again, let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Verify something here on broadcast. Make sure our race control can connect. Waiting for a test message from him to let us know that he can see us, we can see him. You have world-famous Joseph Penn up in the race control booth here this evening. Making sure these drivers are well-behaved and ready to rock. We get grid up behind our iRacing safety car. Let's run through the grid. Paul Gibson starting on pole. Colin Weatherholt starts second. David Shutt starting third. Chris Shieldsmith starts fourth. Matt Brewer starting fifth. Andrew Neri starts sixth. Jared Ziegler starting seventh. Nick Peterson starts eighth. Clinton Wiggins starting 9th. Nick Terrell starting 10th. Peter Rettinger will be starting 11th. John Kasai starting 12th. Cycling it back to Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Australian. He's starting 13th. Antonio Bianchi starting 14th. Alex Penn starts 15th. And Norman King will round out the 16-car grid here tonight. And it's going to be 57 laps. Looks like most drivers are starting qualifying on the red compound. David Shutt qualified 3rd. He'll be starting on the hard compound underneath him. The primary black tires. Look for the red stripes around the tires. That's going to signify a softer compound. And in theory, should be faster lap times. But drivers have to start the race with the fastest qualifying tires they started on. If you put down a hot lap with reds and ran just a few hundred slower on blacks, you still have to start the race on the alternate. We've got Mason Heimbaugh as well as the world-famous Raymond Aguilar join us on the YouTube side of today's broadcast. Thank you to the fans tuning in both on Twitch and on YouTube here this evening. Waiting on David Shutt, the number 24 machine, to get out on track. And then we will be good to go to start things off. Now keep an eye out as well. Oh, what is this? There we go. It looks like David Shutt, I thought, was going to miss the grid. Thankfully, he was able to get there just at the last second. Now keep an eye on Matt Brewer, the number 5 machine, excuse me, the number 2 machine. He's starting 5th. He came into qualifying absolutely blind with no seat time. As the pace car comes in. And we are good to go here. Already I saw somebody with a big blink as we go sending it into turn 1. Brewer and Shieldsmith going to be side by side. Not a lot of real estate for these Indy cars. And Brewer is off track, careening around. Ooh, that's going to be a big crash. Joey has the race lead, but that's due from a little bit of track extension. Paul Gibson's going to take over the race lead. Brewer falling down the stands. The rest of the field goes by. And in that opening lap, Gareth McAllister also involved in an incident. The Aussie has problems here. And I think he's going to take a tow back to pit road. Let's see what happened to the young Australian. Made it through turn 1 all right. Oh, did he? No, McAllister pitches it away in 1. Looks like I think that could have been Kasai or possibly... I think that may have been Kasai with a little bit of damage. No, or was it Alex Penn, number 30 machine? May have gotten tagged there. I think that's what it is Penn's way off the pace. He's going to go into survival mode as Paul Gibson. Paul Gibson about a 4,400 I rating, leading Colin Weatherholt about 3,000. A very strong SOF strength of field here. Looks like everybody inside the top 5 over 2,000. Clinton Wiggins has taken a tow back to pit road. Oh, we got a busy pit road. Shieldsmith, Penn, Brewer, Wiggins, McAllister all down pit road together. That has allowed Norman King to move up into 10th out of attrition. As I say that, King goes off track. We won't say that anymore. It looks like we may have a battle for the lead starting to slowly form up. Weatherholt is about 7/10 back from Gibson. Peterson takes a tow to pit road. Oh, they are dropping like flies here. Let's see what happens to Peterson. Look at the wheels. Yeah, I think Peterson realized there's no way I'm going around this whole track like that. Takes a tow back to pit road to try and get back into the fight. Speaking of fight, we've got a battle for 7th. Nick Terrell, Antonio Bianchi, separated by about 0.3 of a second. They're on the hard compound tires. Bianchi on the softs. Making their way across the start-finish line here at Mid-Ohio. Going to send it in deep into turn 1. Second place, Colin Weatherholt clicks off the fastest lap of the race, a 108.61. Bianchi makes the move through for 7th place, pushes wide, locks up in the keyhole. Terrell tries to follow back. And another battle going on as well. Jared Ziegler and Andrew Neri battling for the third place spot. Ziegler on the inside line in front of the spectator hill. Down the left-hander and is going to immediately flick it back to the right. Looks like Ziegler got a little bit loose there as well, shimmying around in that back end. He's on the hard compound tires. Andrew Neri right behind him. He's running softs, as well as David Schutt. Number 24 machine sitting in 5th, looking to make his way up towards the front. I do wonder how hard is it for drivers to make any passes here. Mid-Ohio, not necessarily a very wide track. It's going to be a lot of work having to be done on the brakes. It's further up ahead. That is race leader Paul Gibson, who has company from behind with the likes of Colin Weatherholt's number 12 machine. About a quarter of a second separating the two as they charge down what I like to call the backstretch. Looks like we've got a few drivers getting back out on track. No, Gareth McAllister, yes, he's back out on track. Clint Wiggins back out on track. So it looks like every driver has returned to the surface here. Gibson and Weatherholt, the gap has stretched to about 6/10 as they blast through Thunder Valley into the final 2 corners. Now, lap times clicking off very quick here. Still around the 109-second times. And if we go back, seems like third place is where a lot of the excitement is. That's Ziegler, Neri, Schutt running 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Nick Peterson's coming back out on track to rejoin the fray. It's going to be about 13 drivers still on the lead lap after a whole lot of carnage. As we go on board with David Schutt's number 24 machine, but we've got more problems back on the track. Looks like Gareth McAllister and Clinton Wiggins made friends very quickly. Oh, what was that? Oh, no. Both drivers getting collected. Was that keyhole? Let's see what happened once more. Looks like McAllister maybe bumped into, I think that may be Penn, and the number 30 machine checks up, spins around, and here comes Wiggins blasting into the young Australian. They're going to lawn dart into the tire barrier. And unfortunately, both drivers are done and out for the night. Now, we do have our infield care center open for these drivers. There's a chance that you'll have some drivers join us up here in the broadcast to tell us where all their plans and dreams suddenly went wrong. Alex Penn off track in the number 30. Penn just picked up the track here today. His Team Goon Squad teammate and friend Andrew Neri purchased the track for him. But he's not his normal chipper self as well. Kind of struggling to figure things out. Mid-Ohio, a tough one to learn quickly. And in my opinion, as a motorcycle guy, absolutely terrible track service. Hands down the slickest track I've ever ridden on. I would dare say the displeasure I've driven on. We've got Grace Neri. She's cheering on husband Andrew Neri, who's running a strong 4th. Neri, a newcomer here to the league. Aguilar hoping McAllister is all right physically, emotionally, and mentally. Oh, look at that. Oh, was that Neri I just saw off track? Not sure if Neri, I mean, it looked like Ziegler ran wide, and then we see Neri going off track as well. Let's watch this one once more. Oh, that was all on Neri. Just gets off track, pushes wide into the grass. Maybe a little bit of pressure, knowing that his wife is watching, waiting, and commiserating as the 65 machine pitches it right before the start-finish line. Thankfully, the machine's still all right. He's just got to get back out on track, focus on what he's doing, not letting those mistakes compound themselves at all. It's easy as a racer to get that red mist, try and pick up time after a mistake, and end up really making the situation worse. Greg Lowen asking what happened to the fellow Aussie man. Gareth McAllister unfortunately has put it back in the virtual hauler for the evening. And Gibson holds on to it here, a half second ahead of Weatherholt, not having too many problems or issues. Both drivers on the soft compound. Neither driver has used any of those 10 push-to-pass button presses available to them. And so take note of this downhill that Gibson's coming down right there. It looks pretty small from up here in a TV camera. But that particular corner, if it's raining in Mid-Ohio and you stand on the hill, you can slide down from the lack of traction that's in this raceway. They coat Mid-Ohio with some sort of sealant. Best described, I've also seen it at outdoor karting tracks that prevent these high horsepower, high downforce machines from rippling the corner in the asphalt under heavy braking and throttle. But in these Indy cars, probably not too much of a big deal with the traction in a low downforce car or a motorcycle. Let me tell you from personal experience, it is slick and it is treacherous here. So good to see these guys getting it figured out, not having too many issues. Still very consistent on pace. They're about a second off their fastest laps of the evening. As Gibson has been Mr. Consistent so far this season. As Weatherholt still giving chase. Now Shutt had a bit of a slow start. He's down one spot from where he started, able to capitalize on Nary's mistake. But still closing the gap. He's about 7/10 back. As they both rip around the keyhole here at Mid-Ohio. Looks like Shutt finding a little bit of pace. These guys are absolutely throwing it into turn one. Both Ziegler and Shutt on the same compound tires, but we've got problems for Antonio Bianchi. Is that the start-finish line? Is that coming out? Yes, it is. Well, let's see what happened to the friendly Canadian, the number 51 machine. That was a very treacherous position to find himself parked. Looks good so far. It's going to be when he throws it into the left-hander. Oh, yeah, that was... Throw is the appropriate word. Does he keep it off the wall? And look at having to avoid traffic, or more aptly describe it as traffic avoiding him. Thankfully, Bianchi able to get fired back off, avoiding a full course caution here. I believe that was John Kasai who picked up a spot. Kasai, number 3 machine. He is up 4 positions so far, running 8th in the all-white number 3. It looks like Nick Terrell also picked up a position in that moment as well. So definitely going to be an evening of attrition. As Bianchi comes down pit road after that single car incident, he's going to get that car checked out. Maybe swap tires here to avoid any flat spots. Back up towards the front, the battle for third still continues. So far, the field getting pretty stretched out here, except for Gibson and Weatherholt. Weatherholt has been shadowing that number 31 machine of Gibson for the opening 12 laps here. Again, both drivers on the same tire compound. And guys just rocking and rolling here. But I'm interested to see, is Weatherholt maybe just watching to see if Gibson will make a very rare mistake? Or is he giving it all he's got? But we are going to have a full course caution as Norman King has incidents out on track. Let's take a look. See what happened to the 28. The caution must have been thrown. He must have been in a very precarious position. As Alex Penn also with an off-track excursion. We're focusing on King number 28. This could be the exact same incident that we saw at a Bianchi coming out in the start-finish line. Pitches it in left, the car unloads, and yes, except this time, there is a scattering of bodywork and an absolute yard sale as parts are everywhere. Drivers taking the evasive maneuvers before King takes a tow, but it's too late, and then the caution is out. That will be our first full course caution of the evening. Now, Alex Penn also showed involved in an off-track. I'm not sure if that was going to be a different incident or not. Let's take a look at that and see what happened. Ooh, just a bit of a bobble there. Looks like he locked up the brakes and cut a little bit of grass. We're going to stack them back up. And it looks like we're going to be joined by Norman King and the number 28 machine. Bring out the full course caution. King, what happened? Because that's the second time we've seen a driver with almost that exact same incident coming out in the start and finish line straight here at Mid-Ohio.
Just got on the throttle a little bit too early and spun the rears, and once they start to spin, there's nothing you can do there for.
And King, I wasn't quite sure who that was, but somebody almost got into you. You have any idea what driver it was that narrowly scooted around you there?
I want to say it was Matt. I'm not sure. But that's who I think it was. But I was just trying to get out of there and get towed before I brought out the full course caution for everyone.
That happens to the best of us. Safety control error on the side of caution. So glad to see things could have been worse, and getting you. Hopefully we'll get you back out there. But thank you very much, Norman, for your time. It looks like the pace car is about to come in here at Mid-Ohio.
All right, thank you, sir. You have a good one.
You as well, my friend. That was Norman King, the number 28 machine. Safety car. Wait a second. Safety car stays out. Everyone else comes in. The old switcheroo here at Mid-Ohio. So everybody except for Antonio Bianchi, who came down pit road on lap 10, is going to come down. Bianchi, and it looks like, I think that may be Peterson and the number 88 machine. Opt to stay out. The driver's using this full course caution as an opportunity to swap tires. As just about everybody coming down pit road on lap 13. Now there are no wave arounds here. I don't think there is, but Peterson shows in the front spot in that 88 machine. He is a lap down from the rest of the field. But tucked right in behind that iRacing safety car, the beautiful Porsche leading these Indy cars around here at Mid-Ohio. Now, I'm not quite sure what the rule is here. Is Peterson going to have to fall off the pace? Or we can see that 88 machine sponsored by Target starting up front. Peterson came in on lap 2 for, I believe, repairs. Looks like we're gonna do another lap. I'm a little perplexed here. Alex Penn comes down pit road. And yes, it looks like Peterson is gonna in fact get the wave around. As the rest of the field sits under eye-pacing conditions. Drivers trying to keep just a little bit of heat in the tires here. Looks like McAllister left pit road, takes a tow back to pit road, so that machine unable to drive any further. McAllister sat in his pit stall for 14 minutes trying to get it back to a drivable condition. No such luck. I'm interested to see, is Nick Peterson going to be able to rejoin the field here? Before everybody else cuts off, it's going to be very, very close, I think. About 3/10 of a lap back. Pace car should be coming in this time by. Yes, pace car is in. And away goes Antonio Bianchi, who had come in 3 laps earlier than the rest of the field. Cautions breed cautions. Hopefully everybody stays patient here. As it looks like Ziegler and Schutt going side by side. Ziegler taking a peek at the inside line and going into Keel. A micro lockup from Schutt, I believe it was. Looks like everybody able to get through nice and clean. Clean, maybe not the optimal word. As that was Matt Brewer and Chris Shieldsmith leaning on each other through keyhole. Right behind them, it looks like Peterson's starting to catch back up. And look how bunched up things are at Mid-Ohio. Bianchi has a solid 3/4 of a second head start. And behind him, that's Gibson, Weatherholt, Schutt, Ziegler all in the fray here, single file formation. These drivers came out to put on a good show for charity for the RacingForChildren.org GP. And they are doing just that here tonight. Now I wonder, as Gibson, Weatherholt, Schutt, as well as Ziegler, who all came in on lap 13, I wonder especially Gibson and Weatherholt, if they're waiting for those hard compound tires to maybe come into effect, but we've got more problems. Oh, is that the keyhole biting Andrew Neri? It sure looks like it. As there goes Nick Peterson, and up front, we've got a shootout. No time for a replay as Weatherholt and Gibson throwing haymakers. David Schutt right there in the fray as well as Jared Ziegler. This is 2nd through 5th on screen right now. Separated by about a half of a second for all 4 drivers. Bianchi's going to extend his lead out up front. He's looking for a career best here. These guys are going at it right now. Wait, what happened? How did Bianchi fall back? Bianchi falls back now to third. He's getting just swallowed up by the rest of the field. I think that was Bianchi. Off track, falls back to fifth. Let's take a quick look at that pass for the lead. Colin Weatherholt with a gutsy move at the inside line into turn one. Able to make it happen against the Canadian in the 51 machine. And now Weatherholt has pressure from David Shutt, number 24. He's been watching and just kind of biding his time here. So Bianchi, after leading a few laps, has fallen back by about 6/10 behind Jared Ziegler, who sits in fourth. I can't believe with how bunched up these drivers have been that things didn't go poorly. They were about too wide, too deep going into the keel here and able to come out relatively unscathed. We cut a little bit of grass on the outside there by the fan parking. But for the most part, couldn't have asked for a little bit of excitement here in Mid-Ohio. This is your top four on screen right now. Weatherholt, Shutt, Gibson, Ziegler. On the fray, Bianchi has fallen back by about 2 seconds behind the fourth place of Jared Ziegler. And something must be wrong with Bianchi's number 51 machine. He is 1.1 seconds slower. No, excuse me, 2.1 seconds slower than his fastest lap of the race. Weatherholt, your race leader, uses the push to pass. Shutt opts not to press his, staying right behind. As I say that, Shutt does fire back using the button. Looks like Weatherholt defends a little bit, but not going to have any luck as Shutt throws it in deep, and the keel takes over the race lead. The field stacks up. Gibson and Ziegler right there in the fray. We are only 20 laps in, and these guys are just going at it here tonight. Still have 12 drivers on the lead lap. Looks like 14 still out on track circulating. And we did get a broadcast test from our race control, Joseph Penn. Keep an eye on that lower section of screen. Every now and then we'll get a few messages that pop up, letting us know if there's been any race control decisions being made. Looks like we've also got a battle for fifth shaking up. Antonio Bianchi is being joined by Nick Terrell, John Kasai, and Matt Brewer. We're all closing the gap here. As David Shutt, your race leader, just clicks off the fastest lap of the race, his race, personal best, a 109.35 out of the number 24 machine. And Shutt's coming down. No, he didn't come down pit road. He has connection issues again. Shutt's been blinking pretty fiercely here tonight. Hopefully he can get that corrected. The bright purple number 24 machine As we're focusing on Weatherholt, who's fallen back by about a second. Weatherholt still has Gibson and Ziegler hot on his heels here. Ooh, almost extending the track limits there in turn 1. Indy cars do not bode well to any dirt underneath them. A very quick way to spin yourself around. You got Cameron Bidwell, he's cheering on the PG-13 drivers out on track. That's Gareth McAllister, who unfortunately put it back in the virtual hauler early on tonight, confirming what we were saying up in the booth, a very slick racetrack, and in a car that likes to be a little bit oversteer heavy, a surefire way to unfortunately end your night early, as the young Australian found out. A lot of great racing going on here just outside the top 5. Again, that's Bianchi, Terrell, Kasai, and now Brewer joining the tail end of this line. Oh, Antonio Bianchi briefly went off track out of keyhole. And now we're really stacking them up here. Looks like John Kasai right in the middle of a Hornet's nest in the number 3 machine. Trying to close that gap to Terrell. Terrell has his eyes set for it as well as on Bianchi. Everybody looking for a mistake out of the drivers in front of him. Now Bianchi is on the hard compound tires at this point. Terrell, Kasai, Brewer all on the softs. Ooh, somebody sacrificed a cone. I think that was Bianchi again, the 51. Now very impressed with the most part, the consistency out of these guys. We've seen a couple little single car incidents, a couple small bobbles. Ooh, as I say that, a big bobble out of Bianchi. The Italian stallion off course. I think he keeps it off the wall, but there goes Chris Shieldsmith, Peter Renger. And now Nick Terrell is going to be inside the top 5 with pressure from John Kasai as well as Matt Brewer. Brewer did not have any seat time coming into this event. So keep an eye on that number 2 machine. He's down 2 spots from where he qualified. The longer he's out on track, the longer he's going to be able to get things dialed in. Bianchi comes back down pit road. We've got problems for Peter Renger, the Austrian. Very quickly hopping off track. As that was Nick Peterson making his way around. Let's see what happened to Renger. That's Shieldsmith right behind him. Looks like, oh, Renger just came in too deep, tried to roll in the throttle while still in the grass and pitched it around. And thankfully got off track before things got a little bit more complicated. Focus back in on Nick Terrell. who has not really gotten much of a breather here with Kasai and Brewer right behind him, but we check back in. We want to pan the camera, see if we can to David Shutt, but he's had connection issues. That's what a 1.8-second margin looks like here in Mid-Ohio over Colin Weatherholt. Behind Weatherholt, you still have Gibson and Ziegler giving chase. Ziegler having a great race so far as well in that 57. He's up 3 positions. Qualifying in 7th, currently 4th out on track. Ziegler losing a little bit of time to Gibson. Gibson still stalking Weatherholt. Weatherholt and Gibson running 2nd and 3rd. They're on hard compound. David Shutt first. He's on the reds, the softs. Very careful. Goes Weatherholt, Gibson, and Ziegler. It looks like Nick Peterson coming down pit road. Antonio Bianchi with another off-track excursion after leaving pit road. Still a good 3-car pack here, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Taro, Kasai, Brewer. And Brewer looking antsy to try and get around John Kasai. Kasai is up 6 spots. He's our hard charger so far of the evening. He's going to try and fend off that number 2 machine of Brewer for as long as he possibly can. And still, ooh, a little bit of a bobble out there out of Kasai, locking up the front right. Brewer not quite able to capitalize on it here. Looks like Norman King passes Antonio Bianchi. Bianchi, I believe, has retired for the evening, put it back in the virtual hauler. As we are officially past the halfway mark, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors that are all helping to support the Racing for Children's IndyCar League. Again, we're out here raising money for an absolutely great foundation for a good cause, and it ties in very well to all the power sports enthusiasts. So again, thank you to Propane Depot coming on board this season, Nemesis Labs, Martial Arts, and of course our league admins and race control for helping to make all of this possible for these drivers. Now during that, Matt Brewer, as you saw, did pick up the pass over John Kasai. We're on board number 3 Propane Depot backed race machine. Oh, but we got to pan away again as Chris Shieldsmith going involved in an incident. Looks like he's still out on track. Okay, let's see what happened to him there in the number 22 machine. So far, so good. Give me the same story of lighting up the rears. Yes, it is. What a good save out of Shieldsmith. Having the forethought to lock it up, get it fired back up, and keep that thing going, so well done to him. And now Matt Brewer has his sights set on Nick Terrell to try and take back over that 5th place position he qualified in. Let's see the field getting a little bit more strung out here, but we've seen plenty of single car incidents throw wrenches in the plans of drivers in a whole lot of races in the past. Brewer trying everything he can to get around Terrell's number 81 machine. Oh, and a big moment for Brewer, holds on to it. That may allow John Kasai to get back in the mix, especially if Brewer has cooked those tires. The Reds very, very fast when you start off, but they definitely do not have the longevity as the hard compound black tires underneath them. To see Kasai falls back again to a second behind Matt Brewer. Other than that, everybody's really stretched out here. Two of the closest drivers we have out on track is second and third, Colin Weatherholt and Paul Gibson. They're about 8/10 apart from each other. Matt Brewer, John Kasai about a second apart from each other. The second closest battle we have out on track. Just shy of 20 laps on the set of tires. Judd, your race leader, he's on the alternate compound. Weatherholt and Gibson running second and third are on the hard compound. Could that be a difference if we keep this run going here? As we have not seen any green flag stops so far. We saw that one caution early on around lap 12 to 13 that brought the entirety of the field down pit road. We have whittled it down to just 13 drivers out on track, 11 of which are still on the lead lap here. Now Shutt is running a limited schedule. He has not ran every event so far, so he has fallen all the way back to 15th in points. But he would like nothing more to pick up a win here as we are 25 laps left to go in Mid-Ohio. And Gibson trying to close that gap. David Shutt, your race leader, still a 2.2-second advantage. I think John Kasai just entered pit road, kinda. And by that, I mean, I think he may have crashed onto pit road. He did. John Kasai coming in a little bit hot there. But he will be our first green flag stop of the night. As he throws on the red tires, he'll be rejoining the circuit in about the 10th place spot. Andrew Neri finds himself right behind Peter Rettinger in the battle for 8. Both drivers came down pit road together on lap 13. Both drivers, now odd, it shows Rettinger on live time in his hard compound tires, but we can definitely see the red stripe on him. But he may be facing a little bit of tire fall off as Neri getting in the groove. Here we go. Is Neri gonna try and make something happen here? Oh, looks like all sorts of mistakes through keyhole. That was Rettinger and Neri both just locking up the brakes ever so slightly. Alex Penn comes down pit road for a green flag stop. Oh no! Andrew Neri visiting the beach at Mid-Ohio. Trying to collect himself. Let's see if he can rejoin the circuit safely. A massive launch down the hill. And Darren and I were talking that before tonight's broadcast. When I've raced at Mid-Ohio, my first race here, I saw a motorcycle rider do almost the exact same thing. Pitch it in too deep, gets airborne off the embankment, and then goes flying. Now during that, Matt Brewer's coming down pit road for a green flag stop. Judd, Weatherholt, Gibson, Ziegler, and Carroll all staying out in the top 5 a little while longer. Brewer's going to rejoin the circuit in 8th behind Peter Renger. As it looks like Gibson's still right there with Weatherholt. Nary's going to come down pit road. It looks like your top 7 still out on track after that lap 13 stop. Some drivers going to try and stretch it as long as they possibly can. 22 laps left to go. So they may be trying to make this a 1 additional stop race. Running it all the way dry on this run. Going to try and come down pit road and then maybe make it till the end. It's going to be close, I think. King in pit road, making his way back out. He's going to be joining the surface in 12th behind Andrew Nary. Still 13 drivers out on track. Shut a commanding lead, 1.4 seconds up over Weatherholt and Gibson. Checking back in on your race leader. Making it look clean and easy out there. As right behind Shutt, Weatherholt and Gibson coming down pit road for what could be their final stop of the evening. How long will Shutt stay out for? Looks like Jared Ziegler also opting to stay out. Let's see if Nick Carroll comes down. No, he does not. He's going to stay out on track for a little while longer here, taking over the 3rd place spot on strategy. But how long will these top 3 drivers be able to stretch it out for? Now, interesting enough, we're going to see if Shutt does another lap here. If not, we're going to try and get on board because it sounds like he's not really ripping the throttle, maybe lugging it a little bit to play it safe. And that could be a move, maybe not necessarily the fastest way around. He's going to come down pit road, and my, oh my, how much they unload the cars here. Will Ziegler come down pit road? Yes, he will. Nick Terrell running 3rd, and I believe he's going to come down pit road as well here. He's been stretching it very close, and the top 2 drivers already came down. No, Nick Terrell's going to stay out, and he's going to get a lap led here at Mid-Ohio. Oh, I spoke too soon. Shutt rolls out of pit road ahead of the 81. Oh, Terrell punching through the grass. Weatherholt follows suit. Terrell, knowing maybe not having the tires underneath him to battle with Shutt too intently here. And now Colin Weatherholt using the push to pass to try and close that gap. He's currently third, but we know Terrell's going to have to come down pit road at least once more. This may be the opportunity that Weatherholt needs to try and break away from Gibson. Oh, but he's going to get hung up there with Nick Terrell. No room by. Terrell lets him by. Looks like he's going to let Gibson by as well. And Terrell knowing, hey, there's a race going on for the top three, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be in it here. And Weatherholt, you can see him hucking around that number 12 machine, showing everybody in the top three on the soft compound red stripe tires. And man, Weatherholt is getting dangerously close, swinging wide out of one. Weatherholt laying on the push to pass to try and close that gap, getting it down to about 8 tenths. And a bit of time on Gibson, keeping him behind him here. And we're going to get confirmation saying Shutt is, yes, he is on the hard compound. Not sure why the live timing software not giving us accurate information. As we watch Weatherholt and Gibson do everything they can to close that gap. But Gibson and Weatherholt both on the red, Shutt on the hard compound tires. But looks like Shutt able to keep that gap and keep Weatherholt and Gibson at bay. But Colin Weatherholt just, let me retract that. I was going to say Weatherholt just had the fastest lap of the race, a 108.54. Gibson immediately fires back with a 108.25. 17 laps left to go. These guys are here to race. Now that was also David Shutt's fastest lap time, a 108.7. So late in the race, looks like the sun may be going down a little bit, trying to get a little bit more traction to such a treacherous racetrack. Chris Shieldsmith comes down pit road. There is still plenty of racing to be had here. Shutt has extended that gap back to a second. And I do get worried as how far Weatherholt is willing to stretch it to try and close any sort of distance he can on Shutt, but I think he overcooked it a little bit there in keyhole. That's going to allow Shutt to get just a little bit better exit drive. And Shutt's only used that push to pass once so far tonight. Weatherholt has used this 5 times, a little bit more liberal with the magic button. But I think once we're about 10 laps left to go, you can see those lights up a little bit more often, willing to use them and try and gain as much time as they can. The laps are rapidly clicking off here. But instead of gaining ground on Shutt, it looks like Gibson's doing that to Weatherholt. We have another battle out on track as well. It looks like Nick Terrell closing the distance to Matt Brewer. Check in on Nick Terrell's 81 machine. Yeah, he's about 6 tenths. Been kind of going back and forth between a half second and 6 tenths between 5th place Brewer and 6th place Nick Terrell. Terrell's up 4 spots. Our hard charger is still John Kasai. Uh-oh, Alex Penn. Oh, right. I think right before a caution was going to come out there. Alex Penn has thrown it away at the start-finish line. I believe that's the third driver we've seen with a big moment there. And unfortunately, just smashed the number 30 machine all to bits against the inside wall, trying to get out of the way. Alex Penn will be retired for the evening. He is done and out of it here tonight. And again. Oh, and the caution's going to come out with 15 laps left to go. Shieldsmith didn't get the tow in time. Get a wide angle because race control wouldn't throw a caution. A great shot. And look, that was in the top left of your screen. That was the lead pack coming around, so race control had to make a quick decision. And this is going to shake things up drastically, ladies and gentlemen. We're 14 laps left to go. The iRacing safety car back out on track. So how is this going to shake things up? It's going to be a shootout here at the end at Mid-Ohio. The racingforchildrens.org GP. We're going to do another lap under caution conditions. Waiting for the iRacing safety car to come down pit road. What's it going to be for this final shootout? Judd has been very strong out there, the number 24 machine. Everybody doing a bit of fuel save under caution, so they should be well and good till the end. But how is the tire management going to be here? Now Cameron Bidwell over on the YouTube side of the broadcast letting us know the black tires restart extremely well. So keep an eye on that number 24 machine as the fans thinking he's going to pull a quick gap in the opening 2 laps after this restart. I believe it's going to be 12 to go as they cross the line. Weatherholt and Gibson are going to try their best to maintain, but that's given Jared Ziegler, Nick Terrell, John Kasai, really all the drivers in the top 10 who are still in the same lap, a bit of a chance as look and shut and go, trying to leave the field behind them. Absolutely ripping it, quickly gaining a half-second advantage over Weatherholt. Behind Weatherholt is Paul Gibson and Jared Ziegler. We got some side-by-side action up ahead. As that's Brewer, Rettinger, Neri, and Peterson all going at it. And we're starting to see the live timing board light up with the mashing of push-to-passes. Weatherholt has 3 left. Gibson has also triggered his. Judd has 9 remaining, but that has allowed Weatherholt to quickly close the gap to your race leader, the number 24 machine. Gibson going to try and stay right there with him as well as Jared Ziegler rounding out the top 4. They've quickly pulled a very large gap over 5th place Nick Terrell. Well, this is going to be a shootout. Shutt extends the gap back to about 0.6 of a second. Weatherholt and Gibson linked up winged the gearbox, I should more aptly say. As Shutt is just dominating here, pulling another 0.6 gap, not having to use the push to pass. Leading the field into Kiel. He's been Mr. Consistency so far. As now Paul Gibson hitting the magic button. He's trying to close that gap to Weatherholt. As cones are being sacrificed here in Mid-Ohio. Into the bowl, that's where we saw Andrew Neri launch it earlier. And the field really bunches back up as everybody's hard on the brakes. There was Jared Ziegler in the background trying to close that 1 second disadvantage he has to the top 3. And Weatherholt definitely steering a little bit with the rear end, using that throttle to help rotate the car around ever so slightly. As we go on board the number 31 machine of Paul Gibson, qualified in the top spot. David Shutt just put down the fastest lap of the race at 108.11. That's without using the push to pass, just raw talent. Helping him stay up at the front. As I say that, Shutt with a massive bobble. The commentators, Kurt strikes again. Shutt using the push to pass for the second time to try and get some pace built up here. Weatherholt was not close enough to capitalize, and here comes Jared Ziegler, the number 57 machine. He wants to join this top 3 party, see if he can interject himself. We've got 10 laps left to go here in Mid-Ohio. And we are starting to see a little bit of driver attrition. Oh, this is going to be a good one. A little bit further back, Brewer trying to get around John Kasai's number 3 machine. This is for the battle for 6. Now these drivers are getting a little bit of impatient, and that can be a little bit dangerous with how many drivers we've seen men coming out to the start-finish line. Here comes Brewer taking a peek at the inside line of Kasai. Unable to make it happen here. As the rest of the field heads into turn 2, still single file at Shutt, Weatherholt, Gibson, Ziegler, and Terrell, your top 5. Brewer on the button, trying to get around Kasai, taking a peek at the inside line. It's a battle of the brakes. Who's willing to commit a little bit more? Kasai throws in around the outside line, holds. No, it's going to be Brewer. Brewer makes the pass against John Kasai. And I don't think Brewer has 1 push to pass left. John Kasai has 2. He may be saving it. As right behind them, that's Peter Rettinger and Andrew Neri battling for 8. Everybody knows not a lot of time left here to try and make any big moves. Keeping the pressure on your competition right in front. Now Brewer, one of the few drivers that came down pit road at lap 44, much later than anybody else. Willing to gamble a little bit, and it seems like the gamble's paying off fairly well. He's still down one spot from where he qualified. Brewer running in sixth. Started off in fifth. And Neri really looking for any way around the Austrian that he can find. He's going to try that same move that Brewer did, throwing it in deep on the inside line against Redinger. And Neri is going to make it stick, and up front, things are getting dicey again. Got keeping about a half-second advantage over Weatherholt and Gibson, but Gibson's been getting down within a quarter of a second or less behind that number 12 machine, who's holding on to the second place spot. Alex Penn has taken an off-track excursion. Like he's relatively all right there in one of the final couple of corners, so no caution. Ziegler trying to catch back up. He's about 7/10 behind. Weatherholt and Gibson still linked up, gearbox to wing. 3/10 currently separating the second and third place driver shut with a 7/10 advantage out in front. 7 laps left to go, and Gibson drastically closing the gap there to the number 12. Now everybody inside this top 3 has had fastest laps within a 1/10 of a second of each other. So very equally matched on pace. Very much a game of consistency here, as Shutt extends the gap back once more to a second over the rest of the field. Shutt, your race leader, he's using the push to pass, trying to stretch his legs. He's got 6 laps left to go, 6 button presses remaining, so expecting to see him use 1 per lap until he's got nothing left in the old tank. Gibson trying to get around Weatherholt because he knows Jared Ziegler is closing the gap behind them. Gibson definitely getting a little bit antsy here, trying to find a couple different lines, seeing if he can work his way around Weatherholt no matter what's been taken. Thunder Valley, such a gnarly portion of racetrack here in Mid-Ohio. I'm going to leave you on board. I want to go on board with Paul Gibson to the keyhole. I think you can see the tar snakes in the patching pretty well from when they scanned this track last. Watch up here in the right-hander of how unique this section of Raceway is. Yeah, fairly well simulated, about 3, 4, 5 different patches of asphalt through that section. All with different levels of grip. There's about, at least on a motorcycle, there's about 1.5 feet of really good tarmac underneath you that you want to be on. Other than that, you are stuck in no man's land. David Shutt still with big blinks out front. Weatherholt and Gibson continue to go at it here. Is Gibson gonna be able to try and pull something off against Weatherholt? Or is he gonna be happy just bringing home a third? Oh, Shutt still with connection issues out front. That's gotta be nerve-wracking. Now Gibson in third is also your points leader, so he may be willing to play it safe here, as he has a 19-point advantage over Weatherholt. Weatherholt is second in points. Judd is not really a contender at this point since he's missed several races so far this season. But Shutt, now number 24 machine, he's out here for the glory and just the love of racing again, as well as supporting such a great charity. We got Ryan Tebow joining us. He's cheering on Peter Renger. Renger's been involved in a bit of a battle with Andrew Neri in that battle for ninth. We have 10 drivers out on the lead lap. Looks like 12 still out on track running here. As it's going to be 3 to go as Shutt crosses the line. Weatherholt pulling just a little bit of a gap there. Looks like Brewer still working on Nick Terrell in that battle for the final top 5 spot. Brewer closes the gap, does so quickly, backs out of it slightly on the brakes going into keyhole. As it also looks like, looking at the relatives, Gibson showing a wheel to Weatherholt here. And all right, it's time to go. David Shutt's pulled a 1.6 second advantage. And Gibson wants to get this party going, not wanting to have Jared Ziegler catch up and make it a 3-car battle for these last 2 podium spots. Gibson would much rather get around Weatherholt quickly, try and build up a little bit of place, and then securely lock in that podium spot. 2 laps left to go here in Mid-Ohio. Judd continues his dominant charge up towards the front. Gibson mashes the button. On the broadcast auto shows everybody inside the top 4 hitting to push the pass, this time by Shutt, Weatherholt, Gibson, Ziegler, and Terrell. All using their remaining goes of it. White flag will be out this time by. And I think unless Shutt just has a massive moment, it's going to be a game of who finishes second and third here. Weatherholt that back end still dancing around. White flag is out here at Mid-Ohio. It's Shutt, Weatherholt, Gibson, Ziegler, and Terrell, your current top 5. As what happened there? Paul Gibson must have had a bobble. Here comes Jared Ziegler trying to throw it in wildly against the number 31. He wants that podium spot here. He's got no more push to passes left available. As Shutt and Weatherholt use their last go of it. Weatherholt pulls about a 6/10 on Gibson. Gibson's going to have his hands full with Ziegler in the battle for third. Now Ziegler's a pretty respectful driver. I don't think he's going to do anything too crazy here. But when a podium position's on the line, we've seen wilder things, I would think. For the final time, making their way through Thunder Valley. Checkered flag is coming out. David Shutt is going to pick up another win here. Excuse me, his first win at the Racing for Children's IndyCar Series. Colin Weatherholt gets second, and Paul Gibson is going to secure that final podium position, with Jared Ziegler hot on his heels. But well done to Shutt, a great run, a dominant performance. And Shutt's going to enjoy his time in the limelight in the cooldown lap. What a great race all the way around from these drivers. For the most part, very clean. And a whole lot of fun here. And Shutt just reveling in the moment. He's got to be absolutely pumped. We've got Paul Gibson already up in the booth. We're waiting on Weatherholt and Shutt to make their way up. But we got Paul Gibson as well. We're going to start things off with Paul Gibson, number 31 machine. Paul, great race all the way around. Very clean racing, and looks like you had a couple of opportunities there against Weatherholt, but maybe you opted to play it safe, hold on to that points lead here.
Yeah, I didn't want to do anything to mess up the points with him and I. So biggest thing is just do a run clean and just have a good race, and that's exactly what we did. He got around me in the first stint right before that yellow flag, and I couldn't quite get back by him. I had a couple chances, and there was one chance where David blew the corner, Colin blew the corner, going into the keyhole, and then I blew it. I was like,
Yes.
oh, that was my shot to get back by. But yep, so good race.
Now, Paul, in these high horsepower machines, granted they do have a fair amount of high downforce as well, but how rough was the track conditions in a car that does not reward imbalanced throttle input?
Yeah, you just gotta be there's a lot of rolling on the throttle with these things. You don't really just stab at it too much. Probably the trickiest spot on track is turn one, honestly, because it's kind of blind turning in. And if you're following somebody, you gotta back off just a hair and try to keep a half a car, closer to the curb or something, just to get a little bit extra front downforce when you're, behind the wash of somebody, because it's real easy to go off the outside of that track, off the outside of that corner there, with the arrow push. So I'd say that's probably the hardest part on the track, really. Everywhere else, it's a lot of blind corners, but you know where to put the car. So yeah, turn one's probably the hardest.
Well, glad you made it happen and looked darn good doing it. Paul, before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helped bring you to the podium here today?
Just PG-13 Racing. Definitely congrats to David. He got around us on that first stint, running, or he ran blacks, and then in the second stint he was running reds and just got right back around us and just held us off for the rest of the race. So yeah, definitely congrats to him, and congrats to Colin too. Great racing.
Awesome, Paul. Always a pleasure talking to you. Hope to have you back up here again in the near future, and thank you as always for your time, my friend.
Sure, no problem.
That was Paul Gibson bringing it home in third. Up next, Colin Weatherholt bringing it home as second. Very clean car despite a few close calls out there, but Colin, it looked like you were absolutely on the ragged edge in those last 10 laps.
Hey James, yeah, it's a handful. Mid-Ohio is tough, lots of elevation on top of some apexes at the peaks of them, so it's always a really, really tough track and really kind of tough to race, but still some pretty good passing zones as you can kind of see tonight, so lots of fun.
Now, Colin, I've been out at Mid-Ohio on motorcycles. Is the track as slippery in sim as it is in the real world counterpart is?
Well, I know that we have some guys that go there for racing, and it seems like it's pretty slick in real life, and I think it can get like that with the sun beating down, so.
Colin, after tonight, you're closing down that gap that Gibson had over you, whittled it down to 15 points behind Paul Gibson. Next week, we go to Road America. How are you feeling at the very long track in Wisconsin?
Well, I don't want to jinx myself, but I do like the track and it is a lot of fun. But I am a little bit disappointed to see I only got one more point over Paul tonight with his pole position. So I think it was 16 coming in and now it's 15. I would have liked to gotten the win and maybe separated us a little bit more, but you know how it is. We're all really fast and really close, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the top four, top five drivers, fastest lap times, all within a tenth and a half of each other. So you guys definitely all had the talent and the pace, and a great run out there. Number 12 machine qualifying in second, finishing in second. Not the points not we were expecting or hoping for, but hey, a clean car is a happy car. Colin, before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to, my friend, that helped make this evening possible for you?
Yeah, just a big old shout out to Team PG-13 with I know David might not be on the official team on the roster, but he's one of us too, and Paul and David, and we've got Nikhil every once in a while, and Cameron. We all put in the hours and the work and practice together, and it really, really shows. So thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Colin. Great run out there, and hope to have you back up here next week at Road America, my friend.
Thanks, James.
That was Colin Weatherholt bringing it home in second. But up next, the man of the hour, David Shutt, a dominant win here. Looks like everything that could have went your way did, my friend. On the right tires there at the end. Not getting too bad of luck from the cautions. Could you ask for a better night here at Mid-Ohio?
I'm not sure if I would call it a dominant win. I felt like I screwed up on the first lap and got loose, lost a bunch of time. And then I honestly thought I was kind of screwed with the yellow because I wasn't sure how long the reds would last. Luckily enough, I was able to maintain pace enough to stay out in front. So it was a lot of fun, though. We were close the whole race, so it definitely wasn't an easy victory.
Now, David, talking about the difference between the reds and the blacks, obviously you started that final stint on the hard compound, Weatherholt and Gibson behind you on the soft reds. Were you thinking those opening laps that they'd have better starting grip than you would on the harder tires?
I would say the black started off better, but as soon as the reds were heated up, it was very much a red tire race. So I knew starting on blacks, I just wanted to do something different. I was third on the black set, so if I had been able to maintain track position there, I think I might have could have passed him. If there wasn't a yellow, so it would have been interesting to see how that would have played out.
Well, a great run all the way through. Your first win so far this season, edging out your previous best at Indy. Had another podium back at Barber way back August 2nd. What's the plans for the rest of the season? I know you're running a limited schedule, but are we going to see that number 24 machine out on track next week at Road America? And if not, when's the next time we get to see your race again?
Road America is my favorite track, so hopefully I'll be there. I'll make every race I can. I don't really have a set schedule.
Well, definitely relatable and understood. David, a great job out there. Up 2 spots from where you started. I know, again, you're a part-time driver or a race when you can driver, so not quite in the points championship, but moving way up the stands with that win tonight. And you've got the privilege, the pleasure, my friend, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that made it happen for you in that number 24 machine?
I just like to thank everybody here that runs the league, all my teammates, PG13, Colin, Paul, and Shieldsmith there. I look forward to racing everybody next week.
Awesome. David, congratulations again. Well done, and hope to have you back up here more in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was David Shutt bringing home the race win here at Mid-Ohio, accompanied by his officially unofficial teammates Colin Weatherholt and Paul Gibson for PG13. Gary Ziegler and Nick Terrell rounding out the top 5. A great race, a couple cautions, keeping things interesting, and a new first-time winner here at the MSR IndyCar Series. Check them out, msrindycarseries.net. Racing on behalf of the Racing for Children's Foundation. I've been your host, James East, with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.